Local, trusted. This is First News at 4 on KBTX News 3.
Hello, and welcome back to the First News at 4 podcast. I think we're still working on a snappy name for this thing, so we'll get back to you on that point. But for right now, we just appreciate you downloading and listening to what we've got to say. Again, this is a news program that airs every day, Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock p.m. Yes, that's the time you might be taking the kids to their school activities or finishing up your work day or doing anything else but watching News 3. So that's why we wanted to give you another way to experience First News at 4. First up today, we're addressing that struggle that especially during the summertime, you gotta feed your kids. You gotta feed them all the time, and they are always hungry. Something about the sun, I think, just drains it out of children. But you don't want to feed them just total crap, right? We want to make sure they're eating their vegetables. All the experts say that's how they get the nutrients. That's how they get the fiber and the fuel that they really need to keep going in their day. But that doesn't make vegetables taste any better. Personally, me, I love a baby carrot on its own, but I get that a 6-year-old maybe doesn't feel the same way as I do, because frankly, it's taken me a few decades to get there. So we talked to a nutritionist about what are some still healthful ways to get your kids eating those vegetables. And we also asked her why it matters so much, just in case you need the little extra boost to really not force those kids, but encourage them to be eating their vegetables. Take a listen. We've got some fun ways to make sure they eat food that's a little more healthful. Well, I don't have those ideas. Taylor Leahy does. She's a registered dietitian with Aramark at Baylor's Scott and White Health and College Station. She's got some creative ways on how to get the kids to eat more veggies. Taylor, what is the secret? How in the world do we get the kiddos to want to eat vegetables?
Yeah, so the main thing, exposure.
You mean just have vegetables around more?
Yeah, so kids model what the parents do, and they are going to grab what's available. So exposure means what we see, what we taste, what we touch, what we smell. So even if they're not actually eating it, those little touches here and there, that's exposure, and they're working on their veggies.
So even if there's a salad bowl at the dinner table that maybe they're not forced to eat, still they see it, they see mom and dad eat it, and that triggers something in their brain.
Definitely.
Okay, in a more hands-on way, I guess, what are some other things?
So kids love dipping things. So a healthful option for dipping could be hummus. So you can do a black bean spread. Kids like to dip with carrots or broccoli, whatever veggies you have around. So hummus, black beans. If you want to do a healthier ranch, so Greek yogurt with a little bit of the ranch powder rather than the whole ranch dressing. Hiding them in waffles and donuts.
What?
Healthful donuts. So if you're baking at home, if you love to bake, sneak them in. So pink waffles could be fun for Valentine's Day.
What do you put in them?
So you can do some pureed beets or mix some strawberries in there, put some strawberries on top, they won't even know. Or smoothie bowl, hide some frozen zucchini, some frozen spinach, whatever you want in there, and then top it with some berries like you normally would. Kids are practicing their spoons, practicing their forks, practicing those fine motor skills, but also getting hidden veggies they don't even know about.
This is incredible. Your advice ranges from, expose them to vegetables, make sure they really know about vegetables, and also you can kind of trick them just a little bit.
You can trick them a little bit.
A lot of ways to get this done, to get kids eating vegetables. Just remind us why it is so important to have our kiddos eating these kinds of foods.
Yeah, so similarly to what the previous person was talking about, we want to set up healthful behaviors and model healthful behaviors. We're setting them up for a lifetime of health issues and joint problems, all those kinds of things, if we're not modeling those things well in the beginning.
And there are so many nutrients, from what I understand, in vegetables that are really hard to get other places. And even if you're giving your kids a vitamin, it's not really the same.
Yeah, not the same. We're not getting that fiber. We're not getting all of the pro and prebiotics that we would, if you need to do a vitamin, but food first.
I love it. Maybe this one isn't for your kids, but I was just telling Taylor that I trick myself into eating my vegetables with hot sauce. I just dip things into Cholula. I will eat anything.
Yeah.
Perfect. Taylor Leahy, she's a registered dietitian with Aramark at Baylor Scott & White Health in College Station. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Now for one of my favorite conversations with one of my favorite new people that I've met in a long time. Janice Williamson has been working at Bryan ISD for decades and decades, and now she has been named the very first female athletic director of Bryan ISD. And my guess is she is one of very few female athletic directors of any Texas school district or a lot of school districts across the country. Because yes, these athletic directors are often the head football coach. And the head football coach, 99.9% of the time, don't check me on that, is a man, which is fine and totally understandable. But here's Bryan ISD doing something a little bit different. And I just gotta say, I think that she is awesome and incredibly qualified for this position just on her own, nothing based on her gender. But what we sat her down to talk about is something that does have to do with gender. It's this issue of a study of more girls going a little bit harder and playing just a little bit more through the pain of head injuries when they shouldn't be. It's like these girls feel like they have something to prove. What they really need to do is take care of themselves after they get hit in the head, and that's what Coach Janice Williamson is here to make sure they do. This is a fun one. Coach Janice Williamson was just named Bryan ISD Executive Director of Athletics and Student Health and Fitness. Coach Williamson has worked in Bryan ISD since 1981. Before that, she played softball for Texas A&M. In 1988, she started the Bryan High School softball program and then won a state championship in 2002. Now she runs athletics for the whole district, and I think we can all see why. Coach Janice Williamson is here with us in the studio today to talk a little bit about her new role in Bryan ISD and how she's going to help deal with sports injuries, particularly in female players. So first, Coach, thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate you inviting me.
Second, we wanted to bring you on because there's been some research in the past couple of years that suggests that girls who are playing sports in school are getting a lot of head injuries too. And with the conversation with head injuries so often surrounding football or the sports more typically played by boys, I feel like girls and their injuries can get on the back burner a little bit. I don't know. Were you surprised to hear that there are so many injuries for girls?
Well, I know that there are some. We have a protocol in place where we do baseline testing, and we do it with all of our athletes in soccer, football, basketball, anything where there might be contact. So we get the kids as freshmen. Actually, we went to the middle schools and did the baseline. So when they come to Bryan High School and Rudder High School and they play in a sport and they get hit in the head, then we have a doctor that assesses them, and then we do the baseline testing again to see. But there is a protocol, and there's a concussion oversight team that comes up with what exactly the protocol is going to be, and then we follow it. So the student is injured, they're pulled out of athletics, and they see a doctor. We do the baseline testing, and then once the doctor clears them, then they begin the return to play protocol. So in the past, you might have had some girls, and they were pretty tough.
Yeah.
You know, I had one or two who might have gotten, you know, a bump on the head or something, and they did want to go back in and play. But we have all these protections in place, and I think sports is very safe right now because we are so aware. The UIL this year, for the first time, is doing a context, is the name of the program, where in 6A ball, whether it's in any sport, if a student has a concussion, then it must be reported to the state. That way they can track them and follow up and make sure that everyone's okay. But the equipment's better, and we work very hard to make sure our athletes are taken care of.
And Coach Williamson cited some research from the same study that I was citing that often the issue with girl players is that they want to go back into the game because they want to prove that they're tough and they want to go back in and they say, you know, I'm fine. But what I'm hearing from you is that they don't get to make that decision on their own.
They do not. We have the coach, the athletic trainer, is at all of our varsity events, and if we see
so not just football,
right?
Soccer, girls soccer is one of the big problems.
Right, volleyball, you have very few, but we've had a few that were injured in club sports, and they come back to the high school. We still put them through the return to play protocol, to make sure that everyone's safe. We know so much more now, and so you really have to protect those kids in their future.
Yeah, well, we're so glad that you are now one of those people, the head person in charge of protecting those kids in their future, and also letting them have a little bit of fun playing sports.
Well, thank you so much.
Coach Janice Williamson, Bryant ISD's new athletic director, thank you so much. You ever go to the doctor and every single thing they say bums you out because every single thing they say is about something you're doing wrong? Well, that's how it is every single time I talk to our biological clock and sleep expert, David Ernest. He's out of the Texas A&M Health Science Center. He's awesome. What's not so great are all the things he tells me I'm doing wrong with my sleep. This guy can explain to us why our sleep matters so much, why the quantity and quality of sleep that you get changes your whole world. He's also got all the advice we don't want to hear about how to get that kind of sleep. And I gotta say, after this next interview with David Ernest, I actually tried not to hit the snooze button this morning. I'll tell you how it went after the interview. So you can see why I was inspired to try not hitting the snooze this morning after that conversation with David Ernest, yeah? So I tried it this morning, and I set an alarm for the very absolute time that I had to be up, and that was the only alarm I set. And you know what? It worked. And sure, maybe it worked because I only had the one alarm, and that's the time I had to be up, but still, maybe it's mental, but I'm telling myself that I feel a little bit more refreshed today. So thanks, Dr. Ernest. The alarm clock goes off and you reach out of bed and hit the snooze button. Just a few more minutes and we fall back asleep. More sleep feels really nice at the time, but is that habit actually hurting us in the long run? David Ernest is here to say, yes, he's with the Department of Neuroscience and Experimental Therapeutics at the Texas A&M Health Science Center. He's an expert in our body clocks and circadian rhythm. So, Dr. Ernest, in short, what's the problem with hitting the snooze button?
Well, the problem with hitting the snooze button is that it creates a state in which you're delaying your sleep waking, and pretty much it's confusing your body clocks. And that if you're setting your alarm to get up at a specific time and then going back or trying to go back to sleep, you're sending signals back to your body that your body's not really ready to be awake, and so it's confusing your clocks, kind of creates a grogginess and a fuzziness that usually will persist up to 2 or 4 hours after you hit the snooze alarm.
And maybe you're just putting ideas in my brain, but now I feel like I can notice it. Even if I've had 8 good hours of sleep, I still hit that snooze button and I still am groggy for the first couple hours a day. You're saying that might be why?
Right, and that's the thing that carries over. I mean, I think in most cases you'll find that if you get up when your alarm first goes off, you'll feel better, more refreshed than if you hit that snooze alarm for 15, 20 minutes extra.
Okay. But mentally, I feel like it helps me start my day. It feels less jarring if I give myself 45 minutes to sit there and snooze.
That I think is a probably impression one can get. I think also it comes to do with the fact that your body temperature is rising right before your wake time. And so it feels good to stay underneath the covers, particularly in a winter day, rather than getting exposed to the colder ambient air.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying it might feel sort of nice in the moment, but truly it is not good for the long run.
Probably not in the long run, because again,
Right.
what it's doing is consistency in both your sleep onset times as far as your wake times go is what's most important. As long as you're getting 7-8 hours of sleep per day, and then getting up at a consistent time every day, that's the best bet.
That's the best bet. Okay, I talked too long about that, and now I ran out of time for this, but I want to address it a little bit. New study came out that says falling asleep to the TV on or lights on can lead to weight gain. How?
Well, what happens is that the exposure to blue light, both in our artificial lighting, TVs, computers, cell phones, shifts, jet lags our biological clocks. This sets our metabolism off, and so therefore what's usually accompanied with that is eating behaviors at the wrong time, eating snack foods, and so that causes a shift in metabolism, potentially associated with obesity and type 2 diabetes.
Interesting. So I guess the fix should be obvious there. Don't fall asleep to the TV on or the lights on.
Keep the TV out of the bedroom. Keep computers and cell phones out of the bedroom. Go to sleep in a room where you have a dim red light rather than the normal LED or CFLs that we normally use.
Dr. Ernest, you always come on and I realize everything I'm doing wrong at bedtime and now in the morning too. But it's great to have this information, and we appreciate so much you explaining why these things matter. David Ernest from the Texas A&M Health Science Center. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
If you live in the Bryan College Station area, you probably know the name Cherry Ruffino. And if you're Cherry Ruffino, you know everything about the Bryan College Station area. This realtor has been working here for decades and decades, and she has all the institutional knowledge to tell us how these national trends and interest rates affect our market right here. Because Bryan College Station, like any market in the country, is unique. Things are going to affect us differently. So we sat Cherry down to talk about how all these low interest rates really matter to us and our entire economy. It's not bad news. Check it out. Home loan interest rates are lower. The Fed lowered them just a little bit. And nationally, that has a lot of people applying for new home loans in the hopes to save a little money down the road. They hope this is the right time. So for more, we're joined by Cherry Ruffino from Coldwell Banker Agtown Realtors. Cherry, these numbers nationally about people applying for more home loans because the interest rate has gone down, are you surprised by that?
Well, the interest rates have dropped about 1% over the last year, so they're very, very good.
Yeah.
But it's really not, they talked a lot about in this article about refis. Mm-hmm. And if your mortgage balance is $500,000 as it is, across the nation, there's some pretty large areas that have large mortgage balances, then it's a good thing to refi when it's only come down 1%. But in our market, when the average mortgage is some $200,000, it saves you maybe $150 a year, and the cost of refi is $3,500. So what you really have to do is call your mortgage lender and just crunch numbers with them and see if it's in your best interest. On the lower mortgage balances, it doesn't save you as much as it does if you've got a balance of $500,000 or so.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, I suppose, your message to anybody considering refinancing. Really look at those numbers before you jump on it just because this interest rate is lowered. But for folks who might be considering buying a new home, or for folks who might be considering buying a home for the first time, is now the time to do that?
It is. Interest rates are down about 1% from this time last year. And we have been in a real strong seller's market, so there's not been a lot of homes available for buyers. And we're kind of seeing that, which we talked about earlier in the year, about how that's switching, and it's going to go back to a buyer's market. An inventory of 6 months or longer is a buyer's market, and an inventory of 6 months or less is a seller's market. And we have a 5.83 month supply of homes right now, so we're creeping up. So that's good for first-time home buyers because there's a little bit more inventory for them to choose from, and then also the interest rates are good. They are predicting in 2020 for them to even go lower. Wow. So, but when the interest rates drop, there's other prices to be paid too. You 401k, you get less, and you hope that they're not dropping because of some national disaster or something like that. But interest rates are really good right now, and it's a good time for a new home loan. Just check your balance if you're thinking about refining and crunch those numbers with your your mortgage broker.
Okay, understood. You talked to a few local lenders in preparation for this. What did they say? Are they seeing more people applying for mortgages because of this lower rates?
Not because of the lower rates. It's that time of year.
Really?
You know, because our market really is busy from March to like the end of July. Our market cuts off like a water faucet at the end of July, and it doesn't pick back up again to mid to late September. So what we're seeing, it is busy. There's more homes being sold this year than last year, but it's those people that are buying their first home, making that move during the school year, but they do not see an influx of people wanting to refi. So it's the normal, better than last year, more people applying for loans and buying homes, but it's not because of these rates. Of course, the rates make a big difference.
Sure. So in our last little bit of time, you've touched on it a little bit, but how do these lower interest rates and this time of year, how does it affect us really, our entire real estate market here in Bryan College Station area?
Oh, the lower the rates, the better the market is.
Yeah.
So this is a very good thing.
This is good for us, like
It's
for all of
very
us,
good.
for our economy.
It's very good. The rates right now, you can get about 4.25, and the lowest we've ever seen is 3.13. So I mean, and they're predicting next year that those rates will be even lower than that. So it's a very good time to buy. It does affect our market in that you can buy more home.
Yeah.
You know, when the rates are this low, you can afford more home. So that's what we all want. We all want the most home for the most money, or
Sure.
the least money rather.
And still a little money, you know, for walking around cash.
That's right.
Okay,
That's
Cherry
right.
Cherry Ruffino from Coldwell Banker Agtown Realtors. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
It's always a
Appreciate you.
pleasure.
I'm recording this for you right now on Flag Day, and we did this interview on the day before Flag Day. So when you're listening to this weeks or months later, forgive us for the timely nature of this, but honestly, for one like this, I think it matters every single day. Flag Day is a cool holiday, a great time to sit back, look at the American flag, and really remember what it stands for. But maybe we should be doing that every single day. And what I learned from this next interview is A, I don't really know how to say vexillologist, don't check me on that, but B, I have so much more to learn about the American flag as a symbol, how to respect it, and really on a more meta level, what it means to respect the American flag. So I'm very grateful to Michael Green, our next guest, who helped me understand that just a little bit more. Joining us now is Michael Green. He is a vexillologist at Texas A&M, and he's here to tell us about some of the rules regarding the flag, some misconceptions. Michael actually works at Marcom, Marketing and Communications at Texas A&M, but this is kind of his little side hobby, and he wrote up this real fun guide to some of these misconceptions. So, Michael, does it surprise you when you find out how little people actually know about properly storing and using the flag?
Absolutely. Well, what's really interesting to me is how passionately people follow some rules and then they don't know or don't care about tons of other ones.
So what are those examples? What are the ones that people passionately follow?
Keeping them not tattered, of course, folding them correctly. A lot of people want to make sure they're in the triangle, form. But then some of the ones like when you go to a football game and there's a big flag on the field, all the people are holding it and waving it, completely against the flag code.
Really?
Yes, you cannot have, it says you cannot allow it to be horizontal. It should always be aloft and free. And then when the team runs out and they've got, an American flag in the logo on the helmet or in the numbers, again, totally against the flag code. You cannot have a flag as part of an athletic uniform.
Really?
So yeah, it's funny what people pick and choose to be, passionate and upset about and things that they don't know about.
Well, sure, right, things that they don't know. I would say that none of those things is an example of just saying, we don't care about the flag code.
Right.
That's just straight ignorance. I am among the ignorant. When it comes to flag burning, I feel like that's one that people get really hopped up about and understandably. What are the rules surrounding the burning of the American flag?
Right, so, there is a respectful way to do so, and that is the proper way to dispose of an American flag once it becomes tattered. But some people burn it out of protest, and one thing that everyone should know is that the flag code is not an enforceable law.
Oh.
Yeah, in 1990, the Supreme Court ruled that the flag code is just a guideline. You cannot be prosecuted for breaking it, for burning it. It's all part of your First Amendment rights. And so, in the end, when someone's burning a flag in protest, completely within their rights to do so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like there are certainly a lot of folks who who are not necessarily aware of that. But in general, this flag code, even though it is not legally enforceable, why do you feel it's important to at least know or recognize? Or do you feel it's important?
You know, it's funny because the flag code is just a bunch of rules written by some people of how to properly, care for a flag. Yeah. And in the end, the flag is just a tool to represent the United States of America. And so even as a flag researcher, as a vexillologist, I care about flags more than most people. I don't get offended at all when people break the flag code because it's just a bunch of rules. What offends me the most, and what I wrote in this article, is when people start changing the actual meaning of the flag and saying, I belong to this and you don't, right? And the American flag, by design, was meant to be something that was expandable, right? We add a new star every time we get a new state. So, to say that this is my symbol and it's not your symbol, that goes against the heart of the flag, the design. It's a flag of unity, not of division.
Okay, a fascinating perspective ahead of Flag Day, which is indeed tomorrow. That's why you'll see a bunch of flags flying tomorrow, and we do love to see that. Michael Green, he's at the Texas A&M Department of Marketing and Communications, but this is his little side gig that we sure like talking to you about. Michael, thanks so much.
Thanks.
Up next, you're going to hear the first News at 4 from our very new venture, and that's our collaboration with the Downtown Bryan Association called the Summer Sunset Concert Series. So what we did is we did an online battle of the bands, where a bunch of local bands submitted videos and a panel of judges, including myself, rated these bands on a variety of things and chose 4 to give free concerts at the Palace Theater on the 2nd and 4th Fridays of June and July. We'll get into more about the music, more about the bands when we actually play for you this Friday's band. But first, we decided we would also do the entire First News at 4 broadcast on these Fridays from the Palace Theater, outside in the heat, on some folding chairs. So that's what this next interview is. We wanted to have a Bryan focus for it. So we got Mayor Andrew Nelson of the city of Bryan and Police Chief Eric Buskey. And they sat down together to talk about how the city and the police department, how the whole community is coming together to try to lower crime rates in Bryan. And it's working. Good news about our crime statistics that, Mayor, you shared with us first on BVTM on Monday. What's the gist of the news about crime in Bryan?
Well, it's amazing news, and it's not new news. Just because it's been at its lowest level in the last 2 years since I've been as mayor, it's really a 9-year trend. We earned a reputation of having significantly higher Part 1 crime, and maybe Chief Buskey can explain what that means, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. But in the last decade, we have cut total Part 1 crime in Bryan in half, while the city of Bryan has simultaneously grown and been one of the fastest growing communities in the country. It's a result of amazing leadership with Chief Buskey, with our senior city staff, as well as great opportunities with our school district, the improving quality of our school district, as well as just more job opportunities. So it's a community-wide effort, not only in effectively fighting crime and discouraging crime through our police methods, but also giving kids who are sometimes making bad choices or tempted to make bad choices, more inspiration to realize with great schools, with great opportunities, our International Baccalaureate program, our Odyssey, our Explore, the Advanced Academics, the Career Technology Education Center. Bryan School District is doing amazing things. Our police are doing amazing things, and we've got great job opportunities. So it's wonderful, and it's a decade-long trend where we're now converging with similar Part 1 crime numbers as College Station, which I think we all agree is a safe community.
Lower is lower. So if getting near to College Station means we're getting lower crime rates here, then that's great. But let's have Chief Buskey, explain what Part 1 crimes are so we can fully appreciate this.
Well, Part 1 crimes are from the Uniform Crime Report that the FBI does every year. And it's really the standard way that cities track crime rates. And it's a total of 8 crimes: murder, robbery, sexual assault, aggravated assault, theft, burglary, and auto theft. And those numbers, anytime we talk about crime stats at the Bryan Police Department, we'll always tell you that our goal is 0. We want no crime. So it's not like we're celebrating, but we're pleased that they're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
So we're down about 49% in the last 9 years.
Hearing a statistic like that, Well, it's incredible to hear. Mayor Nelson mentioned that this is a community-wide effort and part of a community-wide change or elevation, but what specifically is the police department doing as you're part of this in bringing down crime rates?
Well, first off, you can't skip over the community piece because we have a very supportive community that manifests itself in being witnesses to crime or calling us, or even supporting the city council that gives us the things that we need in the city administration that we need. So we can't skip over that community part. But we believe in a CompStat approach, which is comparative statistics.
Okay.
So we meet every week and talk about what's going on and how we can respond to it. And we track certain crimes every week, really every day, but we meet once a week to talk about it, the leadership of the department, to see how we can address that. And we have, frankly, focused and professional police officers that do a great job.
How do you keep it up? How do you keep going in this direction?
We think we're going in the right direction, so we'll keep going that way.
Sure.
But we're always open to innovative ideas, and we try to be proactive where we can, and just keep fighting the battle every day.
Okay. We are about out of time, but Mayor, any last thoughts on this?
Well, it's our goal, and I think we're achieving it, to make sure our police force is the best equipped and the best trained with the best leadership. I want to commend Chief Buskey for that. It's really impressive what our police have been able to do, and just plan on us keeping Brian safe. And thank you for helping us get the word out that our crime rate has been cut in half, and even more when you look at the per capita growth.
On the theme of vegetables in this podcast, we ate your vegetables with the crime rates, and now you get your dessert. The Texas 105 Band is a great local group of folks. They play mostly covers, but it's all the covers you want to hear. So this one is one of my favorites. It's not just because I'm from Tennessee, and it's not just because I enjoy the occasional whiskey, but what a fantastic song, written by George Jones and made popular by Chris Stapleton. This is the Texas 105 Band on Free Music Friday ahead of the Summer Sunset Concert Series in downtown Bryant's Palace Theater.
I used to spend my nights in a barroom. Liquor was the only love I've known, but you rescued me from reaching for the bottom and brought me back from being too far gone. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. As a glass of brandy, and honey, I stay stoned on your love all the time. I've looked for love in all the same old places, and found the bottom of the bottle's always dry. But when you poured out your heart, I didn't waste it. 'Cause there's nothing like your love to get me high. And you're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine. You're as as a glass of brandy, and honey, I stay stoned on your love all the time. Give us some guitar here. Same old places, found the bottom of the bottle's always dry. But when you poured out your heart, I didn't waste it. 'Cause there's nothing like your love to get me high. And you're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy. And honey, I stay stoned on your love all the time. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy. And honey, I stay stoned on your love all the time. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. Tennessee whiskey. Tennessee whiskey. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. Tennessee whiskey. Tennessee whiskey. Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to another edition of our First News at 4 podcast, yet to be named with something snappy. Hey, if you got ideas, you can send them my way. We really are excited about this project, and it's easy for me to say that standing alone in a sound booth talking to a microphone, but we are, and I hope that somebody at home is too. We love what we do on First News at 4, and we wanted a new way to bring it to you, and finally we bugged our bosses enough, and they said, sure, you can do a podcast. So there's the great, beautiful, incredible, inspirational story of how this came together. Let us know if you think we can be doing anything different or anything better. We'd love to hear from you because we'd love for you to keep listening. But for today, that's it. Thanks for listening.